to show missiles being fired at Israeli cities and U.S. military bases in the region. It's not clear exactly where they're talking about, and we do not have any reports of any of these missiles actually hitting anything. But this video just came out. This comes after reports that Iran had, quote, special plans for Tel Aviv and regional allies. It's unclear from the video or the posts when this footage was actually filmed. This comes as President Trump has declared a 5-day pause on striking Iran's power plants after he claims the two countries made major points of agreements after talks. But he warns that the U.S. will not hesitate to ramp up military operations.
We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
State media is reporting that Iran's foreign ministry says there has been no dialogue. A senior advisor to the Supreme Leader says the war will continue until Iran receives full compensation for damages. Here's what President Trump had to say about the alleged negotiations.
Stop speaking with Mr. President. A top person, don't forget. We've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Not the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son. Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living.
Now, Monday marked another day of heavy Israeli bombardment in Iran's capital. Video by the Iranian Red Crescent shows rescue workers saving a child from a residential building that was struck. Let's bring in CNN's Mike Valerio live from Beijing. Mike, what do we know about these possible talks between the U.S. and Iran?
Very interesting. Perhaps Pakistan is getting ready to enter the chat, Alex. Pakistan and its foreign ministry say that it is, quote, ready to host talks when the two sides agree to them. That reporting coming from our superstar reporter, Sophia Saifi, who's based in Islamabad, one of the MVPs of the CNN Asia family. So that reporting is coming from her. And also Kristen Holmes from the White House is saying that there is a proposal out there, Alex, for in-person meetings between U.S. and Iranian officials in Pakistan, in Islamabad. And an interesting wrinkle to that, perhaps Vice President Vance would attend those discussions in Islamabad. That certainly is notable because of his well-known opposition to any kind of U.S. foreign entanglement and engagement in any kind of war like this. And as to why Pakistan perhaps makes sense coming into the equation here, well, it has very warm ties with Washington, D.C. I mean, that could be the understatement of noontime here in this time zone. Very warm ties because Pakistan says that essentially President Trump saved the country, ended the latest skirmish, or I should say war, between India and Pakistan over Kashmir in the springtime of last year. Pakistani ships are getting through. Gulf countries have been bombed that otherwise might have been mediators in a conflict such as this. And Islamabad also has very good rapport and relations, not only with Tehran, but with Beijing, where we are right now, a very key player in this conversation because 90%, between 80 and 90% of Iranian oil comes to Beijing. One more point we want to end on, the 15 points of agreement that was apparently presented to Iran through Pakistan. Another point for Pakistan on the board, being involved in this latest chapter of the war. But we're also learning through Kristen Holmes at the White House and the CNN White House team that this was more of a proposal of expectations. And we don't even know if Iran agreed to any of these 15 points. We don't even know what the 15 points were, aside from one of them was that Iran would never have a nuclear bomb, which Tehran, for what it's worth, has said it's agreed to publicly before. But the president is saying, oh yeah, Iran has agreed to all these 15 points. You might have a reality check that could be not so much, Alex.
Well, Mike, another one of the big fights has been over the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. government has said that Iran is basically putting mines there that could potentially blow up ships, which is why people are afraid to go there. Iran says it's not mining Hormuz.
Right.
Who do we trust here?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. We present the facts, and you can decide at home based on the facts that we put out there. So Iran has said over the past 12 hours that this is notable, that it is not mining the Strait of Hormuz. And they went on to say that they don't need to, because they, from their point of view, have enough operational control over the waterway. That's certainly the point that we want to get out to all of our viewers at home, conflicts with what U.S. administration officials are saying and our own reporting from CNN, where U.S. officials believe that Iran was already beginning to lay mines in the Strait of Hormuz. One other facet of reporting before we go from Iran, I think it was so notable, you showed in the intro, that video of the boy being saved from that building in Tehran. There's almost an internet blackout, so video from Iran, very hard to get to, but we've been tracking that storyline of Red Crescent officials working for hours trying to find people in that rubble in Tehran, searching for that boy, and just such a piece of good news coming out through X from the Iranian Red Crescent that boy in the yellow shirt was pulled out of that rubble, Alex.
Yes, indeed. Mike Valerio starting us off in Beijing. Thank you. Let's now bring in CNN military analyst, retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton, to dive deeper into all this. Joining us live now from Washington. Cedric, Iran says it doesn't need to lay mines. Do you believe them?
Well, Alex, not exactly, but they're kind of right in one way. It's kind of interesting because all they have to do is threaten to lay mines and threaten to disperse them. That may be enough to really gum up the works as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. So that's one thing. I do actually believe that there were some mines that have actually been laid. At least that's what seems to be, what seems to be the case right now. But they don't have to lay very many of them, and yet they have an arsenal reputed to be somewhere around 5,000 or so of these mines, and they can certainly do a lot of damage if they choose to do so. But my feeling is that they probably haven't done that yet. They haven't pressed that lever yet because they feel they don't need to.
So right off the top of the show, we showed video of Iranian missiles being launched. Iran State TV is announcing that Iran has, quote, special plans for Tel Aviv. What could those special plans be, and do we know of any actual hits of any of these missiles?
Yeah, so far we don't know of any hits of any of those missiles, so this is kind of interesting because usually you'll get the Israelis to say that there's been an impact or they've had an alert in Tel Aviv or wherever in Israel that the missiles are thought to be headed toward. So what the special plan could be is in some cases more of the same in the sense that they might be cluster munition warheads. So this would be a warhead that has a whole bunch of cluster munitions in it, somewhere upwards of 80 in some cases, and they separate just before the warhead re-enters into the target zone, and so as they do that, they can cause a lot of damage in many different areas. So that might be one surprise. The worst kind of surprise, of course, would be if there was some kind of biological agent or a chemical agent attached to them. We do not know of anything like that happening at this point, but that is, certainly a worst case scenario, and it's certainly something that the Israelis have been worried about for some time.
And lastly, we hear that the U.S. is sending extra forces to the region, including Marines. What does that tell you? And because the Marines are being sent there, does that mean there's a good chance that we will have some sort of ground troops?
Well, ground troops are, of course, part of what the Marines do. They come in and they take over territory in terms of amphibious operations. So one possibility is that they could be used around the Strait of Hormuz, perhaps to secure the beachhead around the Iranian shoreline there, and perhaps even go into Bandar Abbas, which is a city and a main naval port, naval base for the Iranians. The other thing that, of course, could be part of the mission for the Marine Expeditionary Unit that is headed there, actually there are two of them, could also be Karg Island. That's, of course, in the northern part of the Persian Gulf, and that's where 90% of their oil is basically refined and processed for export. So those are two possibilities, and then the third one would be that these marines might be used in part for a nuclear retrieval mission, and that would be going after those canisters, the scuba tank size canisters of highly enriched uranium. But the knowledge of exactly where those are is not definitive at this point, and so that's perhaps a stretch as far as enrichment goes. So that would be if those marines are used. They may just be there as a presence for the U.S. to have some leverage over the area, but that's one of the areas where the U.S. could potentially put ground troops actually on the ground on Iranian soil if they chose to do so.
Cedric Layton starting things off for us once again from Washington. Cedric, thanks so much for your insights.
You bet, Alex.
Other news now, at least.